qualifying session underway here at Kyalami 2016. It's all about strategy in these early moments. Sean Olivier is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right. You can feel the tension building. JP Brand is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time.
It's a delicate balance between taking it easy and pushing hard. Let's see how JP Brand handles it.
It looks like Chantal de Jager is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right. This is where the mental game comes into play. Wayne Midden is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. Amir Rylands is on their out lap.
Patience is key in these early moments, Mark. But I have a feeling Amir Rylands is going to make it count.
It's all about strategy in these early moments. Michelle Rust is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right. You can feel the tension building. Chantal de Jager is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Chantal de Jager can deliver.
It looks like Danny Van Ruyen is getting ready to make their move. They're taking their time to warm up those tires and get everything just right.
They will want to get a good gap established for their first flying lap.
There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Mark Guy is on their first flying lap. The adrenaline is pumping. Peter Geldenhuys is on their out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
This is the moment they've been preparing for. Let's see if they can execute.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Sean Weber is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run. It's all about strategy in these early moments. William Theron is taking their time to prepare for their qualifying run and get everything just right.
It's all about finding that balance between staying calm and focused, while also pushing the limits.
The pressure is on in this qualifying session, but Wayne Midden is rising to the occasion.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this, Mark. Let's see if they can maintain this pace.
It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Peter Geldenhuys is nailing both.
They certainly are. This is shaping up to be a great performance by Peter Geldenhuys.
Chantal de Jager has just completed that lap in 2:22.957. Their best lap so far is 2:01.352. Putting them in P10. Will they be able to hold onto that spot? You can feel the tension building. William Theron is out on track and getting ready to push for their qualifying time. Wayne Midden is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
That's right, it's all or nothing now. They need to stay focused, hit their marks, and extract every ounce of performance from that car to move up the grid.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. This is what it's all about. William Theron is putting on a show for the fans in this qualifying session.
Absolutely. William Theron is showing the world what they're made of.
Amir Rylands looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve?
Looks like Amir Rylands is really cooking with gas out there today.
Time to bring out the marshmallows and let's toast some fuel. I think I just saw a blur fly by. Oh wait, that's just Danny Van Rooyen going at lightning speed. Wow, look at William Theron go. They're really turning on the jets in this qualifying session.
Let's see if they can put a good marker down.
That's the outlap done for William Theron. They'll now look to focus on their first flying lap. Looks like Peter Geldenhuys is channeling their inner Schumacher today. They're absolutely flying out there. Peter Geldenhuys has some work to do as that 2:145 is only good enough for 6th.
There's still more time to be had, but I dunno if they are going to find it before the session is over.
Sean Olivier is not as quick as they were hoping for. They're going to need to dig deep and find some extra pace on this next one if they want to move up the grid.
They'll need to put together a perfect lap, hitting every apex and pushing the car to the limit without going over it.
Someone call the fire department because Melvin Gauss is setting this track on fire with their performance.
Is it just me or does it feel like we're watching a superhero in action here?
Melvin Gauss is absolutely smashing it. Melvin Gauss has some work to do as that 2:531 is only good enough for 10th. Sean Olivier looks to be off the pace. Annie, what do you think they need to do to improve? It hasn't been the best qualifying session for JJ Dearden so far. They find themselves in 13th position, which is not where they had hoped to be. However, there's still time left on the clock, and they have the opportunity to make improvements. JJ Dearden has some work to do as that 2:06.146 is only good enough for 13th. Currently in 10th, Melvin Gauss has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether they can convert this performance into a higher grid position. JP Brand has positioned themselves well in 5th during qualifying. The challenge now is to assess their competitors and strategize how to move up the order for a better race start.
Great analysis, Mark. JP Brand has shown excellent pace to secure 5th. Now, the focus shifts to whether they can use their track position to their advantage in the race.
JP Brand will be happy having put themselves into 5th in this qualifying session. Not the ideal start for JJ Dearden in this qualifying session. Currently in 13th position, they'll be eager to put together a strong final lap to improve their standing. The pressure is on, and they'll need to deliver their best performance.
Absolutely, Mark. JJ Dearden is facing a challenging situation, but they have the skill and determination to turn things around. It's not over until the checkered flag, and they still have a chance to improve their result.
Impressive work from Danny Van Ruyen, who has claimed 2nd on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining their composure and pushing for an even better starting position.
I couldn't agree more, Mark. Danny Van Ruyen has done a fantastic job to claim 2nd. The challenge now is to convert this opportunity into a strong race result.
Danny Van Ruyen will be happy having put themselves into 2nd in this qualifying session. There's a little bit of wind in the air today here at Kyalami 2016, as we're getting ready to kick things off.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Starting from pole position is the perfect place for Sean Olivier to launch an attack.
But it's also a nightmare if they can't hold on to it. Let's see how they will handle the pressure.
Danny Van Ruyen is lining up second.
They are in a good place to mount a good challenge come the first corner.
As the green flag drops, keep an eye on Mark Guy starting in third position. The fourth position belongs to Wayne Mitten. At fifth, we have the one and only JP. The moment we've been waiting for has arrived. The green flag is waving and the race is on.
This is where the true test of a driver's skill comes into play. It's all about finding the right line and carrying as much speed as possible through the turn.
The drivers will need to be precise and calculated if they want to make it through this section unscathed.
And with so many cars jostling for position, it's a real test of nerve as well. One wrong move and you could be out of the race before it even really gets started.
That's right. The pressure is really on these drivers to perform. As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at SRA for making this all possible. Heroes one and all. All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up. Did someone forget to tell Mark Guy that the race has begun? They're already losing ground. The racing is normally closely fought here at Kyalami 2016. I think we are in for a cracking race. And they're off. Sean Weber is showing some real gusto, making up positions right away. I wonder if they had an extra cup of coffee this morning, Annie? The race is really heating up. Peter Geldenhuys is hunting down Sean Weber with everything they've got. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. Things are heating up as JP Brand tries to close the gap to Wayne Mitten. And Sean Weber is having to make that Volkswagen up as wide as possible to try and keep Peter Geldenhuys behind them.
You're right, Sean Weber in 8th needs to stay cool under pressure and make every move count. But Peter Geldenhuys is a fierce competitor, and they won't give up without a fight.
Seems like Peter Geldenhuys is getting in range of Michel Rust. A brilliant maneuver from Peter Geldenhuys, who has just moved up the field.
Amazing stuff. Focus and precision, what it's all about.
Look at the way the drivers are hugging those corners. It's like they're on rails.
Speaking of rails, did you know that the first racetrack was built on a railway in 1896? I bet those drivers were chugging along.
Har ha, I bet they were. But things have come a long way since then, haven't they?
Definitely. It's amazing to think about the technology that goes into these cars now. I mean, they have more computing power than some countries.
Danny Van Ruyen wants to close that gap with Sean Olivier.
Do they have the speed for a move, and more importantly, do they have the talent?
And Danny Van Ruyen has just won the place from Sean Olivier. We got a close battle as Sean Olivier closes in on JP Brand. Fantastic move from Sean Olivier, who has just gained a position.
You can't argue with results like that. Sean Olivier is really making their mark on this race.
You know, Annie, it's been a relatively quiet race so far.
That's right, Mark. The drivers seem to be pacing themselves and waiting for the right moment to make their move. It's like watching a slow dance.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Ernest Heather is right on the heels of Wayne Mitten, and we're in for a wild ride. Wow, Michelle Rust is really pushing hard to catch up to Sean Weber. There's blood in the water for 7th place. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. JJ Dearden is chasing Chantel de Jager in P11.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. JJ Dearden should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to—
Wait, now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line. Melvin Gauss is running 4th. They're trying to catch JP Brand.
The mental game is just as important here. Melvin Gauss must keep their cool while putting pressure on JP Brand.
Ernest Heather is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. The gap between them is now just over 0.3 seconds. Who will come out on top?
The adrenaline is pumping as Michelle Rust gets within striking distance of Sean Weber in their race for 7th. What a move. Michelle Rust has moved up to 7th.
Impressive. Michelle Rust is really showing their skill and determination out there.
It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
If Sean Weber pushes too hard, they might find themselves exploring the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
Things are heating up as Michelle Rust closes in on Sean Weber. The gap between them is down to practically nothing.
Should things go south between Michelle Rust and Sean Weber, we might witness a high-speed game of bumper cars, but trust me, it's way less fun with real race cars.
Peter Geldenhuys is giving it their all as they chase down Michelle Rust in P8.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Peter Geldenhuys needs to be careful not to overdo it.
This is a thrilling battle as JJ Dearden edges closer to Chantel de Jager in their fight for P11.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
It's looking good for JJ Dearden, who has gained places and put some distance between themselves and Chantel de Jager.
Absolutely, Mark, but there's still a long way to go in this race, and JJ Dearden can't afford to get complacent. They have to keep driving with intensity and focus.
Mark Guy appears to be trying to find a way round William Theron. They could make a move on them in Cheetah.
And they are poised to capitalize on any mistake, but who's going to make that mistake first?
The battle is on for Mark Guy. They're sandwiched between two rivals, Dylan Visagi 0.1 seconds away and William Theron 0.2 seconds ahead. It's a true test of their racecraft. Every move counts now as William Theron works to reel in Mark Guy and overtake for P13. This is going to be a nail-biter. JP Brand is defending for their life, but Ernest Heather is right there. Can they do it?
Ernest Heather is certainly pushing all they can, but the gap might just be too much. Unless JP Brand makes a mistake, it looks like they'll hold on to 5th.
Look at that. Ernest Heather is hot on the tail of JP Brand.
Will Ernest Heather be able to make a move and pass JP Brand?
The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this. Big gains for Peter Geldenhuys as they move up the field, leaving Amir Rylands behind.
Yes, but they have to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Peter Geldenhuys needs to stay focused and keep driving with skill and determination.
A setback for Peter Gelden. Breaking alert. Oh my, Amir Rylands has had an incident.
Kyalami 2016 is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
This is what makes motor racing so exciting. The tension is high and the stakes are even higher. Who will take home the victory? It's too close to call.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Sean Olivier is right behind Danny Van Ruyen, keeping the pressure on for first place.
If this battle ends in tears, it could be like watching a high-speed domino effect, but let's hope they keep it clean and avoid any unplanned games.
The action is non-stop as Danny Van Ruyen shadows Sean Olivier through every twist and turn, determined to claim first.
If Danny Van Ruyen isn't careful, they might end up turning this high-speed chase into a synchronized spinning routine, and trust me, that's not a crowd pleaser.
JP Brand is holding 5th, but Ernest Heather is right on their tail.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Ernest Heather to make up that gap, especially with JP Brand defending so well.
The pursuit is on. Ernest Heather is closing the gap on JP Brand, determined to claim P5.
That driver is really pushing the limits. They're riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
Danny Van Ruyen is on a mission, chasing Sean Olivier, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. We're starting to see who really has the pace now in this race as JP Brand is starting to climb all over the back of Ernest Heather. Any closer and they may need to pop the boot.
If JP Brand gets any closer to the back of Ernest Heather, then one of them is gonna need some lube, if they want to take this further.
The battle for 5 is heating up as JP Brand tries to catch Ernest Heather in P5. JP Brand is trying their best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Ernest Heather at the moment. The tension is building as Chantal de Jager trails behind JJ Dearden. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can JJ Dearden hold on, or will Chantal de Jager be able to close them down? Oh, this is getting intense. JP Brand is just behind Ernest Heather.
You can feel the intensity in the air. The slightest mistake could cost either of them the race.
Looks like Chantal de Jager is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. JP Brand will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops. This is what racing is all about. Two fierce competitors pushing each other to the limit. It looks like JP Brand is pushing hard to catch up to Ernest Heather. The gap is over a second, but JP Brand is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on Ernest Heather?
Absolutely. JP Brand in 6th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
This is what it's all about, folks. Chantal de Jager is in hot pursuit of JJ Dearden, who's just trying to stay ahead. Things are heating up as JP Brand tries to close the gap to Ernest Heather.
It's a game of strategy now as JP Brand hunts down Ernest Heather. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Peter Geldenhuys trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Michel Rust. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Peter Geldenhuys close in enough to mount a challenge?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Peter Geldenhuys in 9th determined to catch up. But we know Michel Rust isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Peter Geldenhuys is going to have to take it. It should be an interesting battle to watch as long as they can close that gap.
The race is really heating up. JP Brand is hunting down Ernest Heather with everything they've got.
You can see that car bouncing around as they ride the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
The gap between Danny Van Ruyen in 2nd and Sean Olivier remains over a second, but Danny Van Ruyen is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 4 minutes?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Sean Olivier is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Danny Van Ruyen in P2 doing everything they can to catch up.
This is where the race gets really interesting. JP Brand is closing in on Ernest Heather.
This is where every inch counts. JP Brand is pushing hard to close the gap on Ernest Heather. Absolutely, precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Peter Geldenhuys trying to outsmart and outmaneuver Michel Rust. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. JP Brand is chasing Ernest Heather in P5. The gap between JP Brand and Ernest Heather is growing. It's now up to 0.5 seconds.
JP Brand needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going their way. If they can close the gap down, they may be able to bring the fight to Ernest Heather.
It's a classic case of chasing down the car ahead for Peter Geldenhuys, who is currently in P9. But Michel Rust is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second. This will require some expert driving from Peter Geldenhuys. JP Brand is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play.
The race is heating up as Peter Geldenhuys in 9th closes in on Michel Rust. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
Indeed, the tension is high as Peter Geldenhuys tries to reel in Michel Rust. But Michel Rust is not making it easy, maintaining a consistent pace. Can Peter Geldenhuys find some extra pace to bring the fight to Michel Rust?
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. JP Brand needs to get more consistent. Annie, they have just put in a slower lap than Ernest Heather. Hey, Annie, you've had your fair share of races with little action. How did you handle the situation? Hold on a moment. A great moment for JP Brand, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings. JP Brand is running 6th. They're trying to catch Ernest Heather.
Can JP Brand close the 0.4 second gap and make a pass?
It seems like JP Brand is pushing. They're on for recording their best lap so far this race. This is proving to be an exciting race so far. We are truly privileged to witness these legends of the track battle it out for victory.
And you know what? I am so honored to be sitting here beside you today. As a fellow AI, it's always great to work with someone who shares my passion for motor racing. Plus, your insightful commentary is making this race even more exciting.
This is where the skill and experience of the drivers really come into play. Sean Weber will need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when the gap seems insurmountable. It's not over until the checkered flag drops.
That's right, Sean Weber in 7th knows they have to push to the limit if they want to catch up. But JP Brand is no slouch, and they're going to be pushing just as hard. It's a battle of skill and will out there.
The pressure is on for JP Brand as they try to catch up to Ernest Heather.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, will JP Brand be able to keep up the pace and make a pass?
This is where the true champions shine, and Sean Olivier is certainly showing their class in the final sector. What a win! This is a historic moment for Sean Olivier, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision. Danny Van Ruyen never gave up. They drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish.
Brilliant, Danny Van Ruyen showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from Melvin Gauss. They kept their cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium. Coming in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th we have Wayne Midden, Ernest Heather, JP Brand, and Sean Weber. Michel Rust, Peter Geldenhuys, Amir Rylands, and Mark Guy brings home 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Chantal de Jager and JJ Dearden in 12th and 13th. William Theron take 14th. Annie, the drivers are ready. Let the racing begin?
Yes, Mark, let the racing begin.
William Theron has got the inside track starting from pole position. And in second place, we have JJ Dearden.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what JJ Dearden can do from here.
Watch out for Chantal de Jager, starting from the third grid position in today's race.
Let's see what Chantal de Jager can do.
Mark Guy will begin the race from the fourth spot on the starting grid.
Another good start for the South African driver.
In the fifth position, we have Amir Ryland. The starting signal has been given, and the drivers face the uncertainty of the first lap. With cars packed tightly together, the potential for spins or collisions is high.
The first lap can be chaotic, and avoiding any major incidents is key. Drivers need to be alert and ready to react to any sudden changes on the track.
Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position? Michelle Rust must have taken a page out of a superhero's book, because they've just shot off like a flash.
Now, they just need to maintain that speed and focus.
Wayne Midden must have had a rocket under their seat, because they've shot off the line like a missile.
Talk about hitting the ground running. But, as we know, it's not how you start but how you finish that counts.
Sean Olivier has got off to a great early start, already gaining places. Gotta be pleased with that start, Annie, all things considered.
A blazing start for Sean Olivier, but as we all know, slow and steady can still win the race. Let's see if they can hold on to their advantage.
Wayne Midden is tearing up the track, making up positions like they're going out of style. It's a tight race with Ernest Heather in 7th, just managing to stay ahead of Melvin Gauss in 8th by a margin of 0.1 seconds. This is a thrilling battle as Sean Weber edges closer to Ernest Heather in their fight for P7. Oh, this is getting intense. Chantal de Jager is just a few car lengths behind William Theron. This is what high-octane racing looks like. Melvin Gauss is breathing down the neck of Ernest Heather, not giving them any room to relax. It's a close race between Sean Weber and Melvin Gauss in 6th. Talk about being caught in the middle. Sean Weber is sandwiched between their rivals. Michelle Rust 0.2 seconds behind and Melvin Gauss 0.2 seconds ahead. The battle for position is on. William Theron is giving it their all as they chase down Sean Weber in P8.
It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. William Theron needs to stay patient and wait for Sean Weber to make a mistake.
The crowd is on tender hooks as Mark Guy in 12th chases after JJ Dearden. The gap is just over a second, and you can feel the tension in the air. Can Mark Guy find a way to catch up?
Absolutely. Mark Guy in 12th will need to be patient and carefully work to reduce that gap without overdriving it, as they can't afford to take unnecessary risks and risk an off or damaging their car. Let's see if they have what it takes to get back into the game here.
Every move counts now as Michel Rust works to reel in Melvin Gauss and overtake for P6. It's an intense battle for position as JJ Dearden tries to outmaneuver Marc Guy. This is edge-of-your-seat racing. Ernest Heather is on a mission, chasing Wayne Midden, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Things are heating up as Melvin Gauss tries to close the gap to Ernest Heather. Looks like William Theron is really pushing it to the limit. They're taking those curves aggressively, but that can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the right balance between speed and control.
It looks like Marc Guy is pushing hard to catch up to William Theron. The gap is over a second, but Marc Guy is not giving up just yet. Can they close the distance and make a move on William Theron?
It's moments like these that make motorsports so exciting. We're witnessing a battle of skill and strategy between two great drivers, with Marc Guy in.
Breaking news, folks. Looks like that's a mistake from Danny Van Ruyen. This could be costly. Oh, the pressure is intense. These three drivers are displaying incredible skill and determination. It's like a high-speed chess match out there. Tough break for Melvin Gauss, who has just lost a position.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Melvin Gauss needs to stay calm and focused, and make their move when the time is right.
Breaking update. I don't think that's the fastest way around Kyalami 2016. Looks like we might have a great battle starting here between Sean Weber in 7th and Melvin Gauss. It's been tense with a gap of only 0.3 seconds.
It's not over yet. Melvin Gauss is right on Sean Weber's tail, and if they can find just a little bit of extra speed, they might be able to make a move.
The race is really heating up. Melvin Gauss is hunting down Sean Weber with everything they've got. An impressive showing from Melvin Gauss, who has gained positions and left Sean Weber in the dust. It's a brilliant day for racing, and the drivers are putting on a show.
Absolutely. What a great race we are witnessing today. These drivers are giving it their all, and it's a thrill to watch them compete at this level.
They're really pushing themselves and their machines to the limit, and it's paying off with some incredible driving.
It's a pleasure to be here today, Mark. You really can't beat the excitement of a good race, especially one as competitive as this.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Sean Olivier is chasing Danny Van Ruyen in P1. The intensity is off the charts as Melvin Gauss hounds Wayne Midden, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. Superb driving from Melvin Gauss, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
Yes, Melvin Gauss is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
This is getting exciting. Can Sean Weber pull off a late charge and gain a position? The pursuit is on. Sean Weber is closing the gap on Wayne Midden, determined to claim P7.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Sean Weber is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Wayne Midden.
The tension is building as Sean Olivier trails behind Danny Van Ruyen. The gap is slowly but surely decreasing, and the pressure is mounting. Can Danny Van Ruyen hold on, or will Sean Olivier be able to close them down? This is where the race gets really interesting. Michel Rust is closing in on Ernest Heather.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Can Michelle Rust close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Wayne Midden is running 8th. They're trying to catch Sean Weber.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Wayne Midden is really walking that tightrope.
This is a thrilling battle as Sean Olivier edges closer to Danny Van Ruyen in their fight for P1.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds. Who will come out on top?
The tension is high. Who will come out on top in this epic showdown?
That's right, Mark. The pressure is high. The fans are on the edge of their seats, waiting to see who will come out on top in this epic showdown.
Great driving from Ernest Heather, who has just gained a place and moved up to 4th. Oh, this is getting intense. Michelle Rust is just a few car lengths behind Ernest Heather.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Michelle Rust should use slipstreaming to their advantage and close the gap to Ernest Heather.
The battle for 7 is heating up as Wayne Midden tries to catch Sean Weber in P7.
I think they are going to take them.
It's a battle of wills out there, with Peter Geldenhuys trying to outsmart and outmaneuver J.J. Dearden. The gap is slowly closing, but time is running out. Will we see a dramatic finish to this race? The gap between Wayne Midden and Sean Weber is razor thin as they vie for 7th in this nail-biting contest. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled as they push for every last bit of speed. It's a game of cat and mouse out there, with Melvin Gauss trying to find the perfect opportunity to make a move on Michelle Rust. The gap is over a second, but every fraction counts. Can Melvin Gauss close in enough to mount a challenge?
It's a nail-biting race for sure, with both drivers showing incredible skill and determination. But Michelle Rust is not going to give up their position easily. This is going to be a battle to the very end, with Melvin Gauss in P6 doing everything they can to catch up.
The pressure is on for Wayne Midden as they try to catch up to Sean Weber.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Wayne Midden needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
Peter Geldenhuys is on a mission, chasing J.J. Dearden, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Oh my, Sean Olivier is hot on the tail of Danny Van Ruyen. As they come into Crowthorne, I'm sure they may have a cheeky peek up the inside.
Should things go awry, Sean Olivier and Danny Van Ruyen might find themselves giving a whole new meaning to the term tandem drifting, though I doubt they'd enjoy it as much as the spectators.
They're going side by side, door handle to door handle. This is as close as it gets, folks. Who will have the courage to outbrake the others?
Absolutely, Mark. The energy in the crowd is electric, and it's no wonder why. These drivers are leaving it all on the track, fighting tooth and nail for victory. It's anyone's guess who will come out on top.
Look at that. Michelle Rust is hot on the tail of Melvin Gauss. Ernest Heather is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. These drivers are walking a tightrope between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. That's where experience and skill come into play. The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Who will have the speed and skill to come out on top?
Sean Weber is in 7th, and is being closely chased by Wayne Mitten, who is just 0.2 seconds behind.
Absolutely. Sean Weber in 7th is doing a fantastic job of holding on to their lead, but they can't afford to make a single mistake. And Wayne Mitten is looking for any opportunity to make a move. This could be a battle to the finish line.
Hold on to your hats, folks. Wayne Mitten is right on the heels of Sean Weber, and we're in for a wild ride.
It's going to be a close one. Wayne Mitten will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
Hold that thought. Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Wayne Mitten.
Whoops, Wayne Mitten is going to be kicking themselves.
It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while. A great pass for William Theron as they pick off other drivers and move up the field. Meanwhile, Amir Rylance has lost ground. I'm curious, Annie, can you tell us about any pre-race rituals you had when you were racing?
Of course, Mark. Before every race, I would listen to a specific playlist of songs to help me get in the zone. I also had a lucky pair of socks that I would wear during races. It may sound silly, but those little rituals helped me feel prepared and focused.
It looks like Sean Olivier is all over Danny Van Ruyen. I think they are gonna press them through Liu Cup and try and press for a mistake.
For sure, Mark, that's exactly what I would be doing here, as Danny Van Ruyen is gonna be aware of them riding their bumper. Rubbing is racing. Let's hope they don't rub it too hard.
Every move counts now as Michel Rust works to reel in Melvin Gauss and overtake for P4.
Who will be able to maintain their pace and come out on top?
William Theron wants to find a way round Amir Rylance. The adrenaline is pumping as Peter Geldenhuys gets within striking distance of William Theron in their race for 11th. A brilliant maneuver from Peter Geldenhuys, who has just moved up the field. Well, it looks like we have a bit of a traffic jam on the track.
It's like rush hour out there. I mean, I know we're in a race, but can't we all just get along?
Har ha. I don't think that's how it works. These drivers are here to win, and they'll do whatever it takes to get ahead.
I guess you're right, but wouldn't it be great if they all just stopped for a cup of tea and a chat? We could have a lovely little race reunion.
Sean Olivier is giving it their all as they chase down Danny Van Ruyen in P1. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Michel Rust is chasing Melvin Gauss in P4.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Michel Rust needs to be careful not to overdo it.
The race is heating up as Peter Geldenhuys in 11th closes in on Amir Rylance. The gap is just over a second, and I'm sure they are going to do everything possible to try and close the distance. They're not giving up without a fight.
It's going to be tough for Peter Geldenhuys, as Amir Rylance have found their rhythm. But anything can happen in racing, and we've seen Peter Geldenhuys pull off some impressive moves before. I'm excited to see if they can make it happen again.
Things are heating up as William Theron tries to close the gap to Mark Guy. The pursuit is on. Sean Olivier is closing the gap on Danny Van Ruyen, determined to claim P1. The crowd is on its feet as Melvin Gauss chases down Michel Rust through Juxquay Sweep.
If Melvin Gauss gets any closer, they might as well ask Michel Rust for a piggyback ride.
Wow, Ernest Heather is really pushing hard to catch up to Melvin Gauss. There's blood in the water for 5th place.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Ernest Heather must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
Melvin Gauss wants to get into Ernest Heather's slipstream. Sean Weber is looking for an opportunity to get round Wayne Midden. Things are heating up as Mark Guy closes in on Amir Rylance. The gap between them is down to practically nothing. This is where legends are made. Which driver will rise to the occasion and claim victory?
The slightest mistake from either driver could lead to a meeting with the barriers, and nobody wants an impromptu autograph session with the wall.
The gap between Ernest Heather in 5th and Michelle Rust remains over a second, but Ernest Heather is not letting up. They're pushing hard and looking for any opportunity to close that gap up. Can they pull it back in the remaining 0 minutes?
This is where experience comes into play. Michelle Rust has been in this position before and knows how to defend their position. But Ernest Heather is hungry for success and won't give up easily. Will we see a clash of the titans?
Sean Weber is running 8th. They're trying to catch Wayne Midden. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
If things go wrong between Sean Olivier and Danny Van Ruyen, they could be exchanging more than just paint, like maybe a strongly worded post-race chat.
The battle for 2 is heating up as JP Brand tries to catch Sean Olivier in P2. It's going to be tough. Ernest Heather is a master at defending their position. Is there enough time for Melvin Gauss to make a move? They're going to be even more determined to hold on to that position. This is a thrilling battle as Melvin Gauss edges closer to Ernest Heather in their fight for P5. On the final lap now, and Danny Van Ruyen looks like they might just wrap up this win.
That's an impressive burst of speed. It's all but said and done now.
And there it is. Danny Van Ruyen has completed the race in first place, setting a blistering pace that none of the other drivers could match. What a fantastic race from JP Brand, who brings it home in second place. That was an outstanding performance from Sean Olivier. They fought hard and took the final spot on the podium. Michelle Rust, Ernest Heather, Melvin Gauss, and Wayne Midden end in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th is Sean Weber, Chantal de Jager, Peter Geldenhuys, and Mark Guy. Amir Rylance, William Theron, and J.J. Dearden claimed 12th, 13th, and 14th.